Are we gonna get lucky today? Let me see what's on the restream. Let me know if the stream came back for you. Check, check. Okay, it looks like the audio is working. I think the same stream is still up, right? It looks like it is. Sorry, folks. This has been a wild ride. Let me do one more thing here. I'll copy the stream over to the people in the chat. Is this the same stream? It's the same stream, right? Yeah, it looks like it's the same stream. Okay. Thank God. So, now that I have that done, I can try to get my actual screen up. Let me think about how I want to do this, because it's totally not set up for the job we need to do here. Maybe ask Claude how to fix this. Yeah, Claude cannot help me with this. Guess 1982. Let's see. How am I going to fix this issue now? So I got the chat up. Let me kill some tabs here. Let me kill... By tabs, I mean Emacs tabs. I swear it's going to start soon. Famous last words. Live streams, August 22. All right, there we go. I have something on the screen here. I'm going to kill that one. It's going to look a little bit different today because I've got a different theme on. In fact, I could probably just fix that right now. DW... God, what is the command name? Apply Pale Night theme. There we go. That's sort of better, but the background is wrong. I don't really care right now, though. Let's get something on the screen so that we can move on with our lives and not sit around watching me fumble with my computer incessantly. All right, so I'm going to go and see if I can put the screen share on here. Let me pull up the properties on that one. Select monitor. Yes, that monitor, and then... Voila. I gotta put myself over it. Okay. So there is a screen. Not the screen I intended to use, but there is a screen. Okay? Is everything okay now? Can everyone hear me? Let's go back to the chat. Let there be Emacs. Still troubles? Yes, still troubles. There's always still troubles. Let me... If I turn this other light on, I think it's gonna kill the audio. Let me see if I can switch... Oh, screw it. I'm not even going to worry about that. So I'll scale the screen up here. Default text scale, increase. Is that better? Is that better? Is that too big now? Probably fine. Okay. Oh my God. What a hell. What a hell. So, hi. How's it going? That's what you call tap dancing. Tap dancing in front of how many people is this now? Probably everybody left because of the mess. What tab do I want? Let's bring up a new window here just so I don't get confused with everything that I've got open. Oh yeah, I need to monitor the YouTube chat. Let me pull up on the other screen, actually. Since there is another computer here that works, it just doesn't work for the stream right now. Oh, right. Go to Firefox. Totally professional. It's like I do this every week, except for the last 2 weeks. So if this stream is any good, after all, I'm just gonna have to like cut the first bit of it off so that the people who come watching the recording, because they think that there's gonna be something interesting discussed here, don't have to watch me painfully struggle with my life choices for the first 20 minutes. Next time, I'm not gonna be so hasty in trying to get on the stream at the time that I'm supposed to be here just to prove people wrong. That's hubris. That's what hubris does. Okay, so let me see what's going on in the chat. Guest 1982 says, what happened? Geeks update happened. What is this background? Okay, all right. Let me fix the background. Sorry, Big Edie. Config, sway. I'll do this on the other screen so you can see me do it. Camera zoom needs adjustment. I'll take that into consideration, Gun. Sway, config, backgrounds. Why is it? Oh, is it systems? Zero cool. Let's do this. Is that better? Yes, I know. I need to like drop it down a little bit. Look, you're getting way too close to my face now. As I said, super professional stream. I'm very proud of myself. Give me 1 sec. I'll say that a few more times. And now my head is chopped off at the top. Got to do this without getting my backdrop edges in the shot too. So, hello everyone. Sorry for the magnificent display of my failure to craft a good system. I'm back. I was gone for a couple weeks. I was on vacation with the family. Went to a couple places in Greece. Had a lot of nice times at the beach, and ate too much food. And I got to hack on some projects a little bit, which I'll talk about some. It was a good time. But we're here now again, and we're obviously back to our usual schedule of tricks, which is to trick myself into thinking that I know how to use my computer. But I'm happy to see you all. Thank you all for being here today. It's an interesting topic because, AI is kind of controversial. Depending on who you talk to, it might be a great thing. It might be the worst thing from humanity possible. I'm sort of in the middle. I see it as a tool. And because I'm interested in tools, things that could actually, improve my workflow or make me more productive, I do consider AI as a viable option for some things, okay? So I have been experimenting with claude-code as a result of a lot of buzz, I guess you could say, in the interwebs or in the industry over the last few weeks. There's a lot of talk about AI in general. You see articles like 100 times a day about things happening in the world of AI. But claude-code itself kind of stood out to me because it seemed to be the kind of tool that kind of meets my requirements. I don't want to use a separate IDE to get like agentic coding functionality. I would rather have a tool that works with what I already use and a terminal-based agentic coding system. I'm using quotation marks because this is all just BS made up terms that, marketing people came up with. A terminal-based application sounds pretty interesting to me. So I decided to try it out, and I have some thoughts. I have some results, I guess you could say. And I wanted to kind of show how we might, plug that into Emacs. Because I've been using it in Emacs through Emacs terminal emulators. And the experience is okay, but it's a little bit wonky. So I wanted to find a better way to integrate claude-code into Emacs, both from the perspective of using it for coding or other tasks that, I'm in Emacs already and I want to have claude-code in Emacs, but I just want to improve the experience of that, but also with the ability for claude-code to interact with Emacs. So we'll try to take a look at both those things today. I also kind of want to talk about kind of the comparison of using it in Emacs versus using it in a separate terminal, because there are some differences. Anyway, I've got a lot of stuff written here. I should probably just read that. But the point is, we're just going to take a casual little look today at claude-code because I think it's interesting, and also how to use it in Emacs and also polish the experience a little bit. Let me say hello to the folks who are here so far because I haven't actually done that yet. So let's go into the chat. I'm going to be fumbling around a little bit because I'm still using the built-in completions, and sometimes I fight with it a little bit. All right. I don't know how to pronounce that word, Gun. Let me say hello to the people here. I'm getting distracted by the chat, and now I need to go, wake up and say hello to the people who are here, as I was saying before. All right, so hello to Glenn, to Erky, let's see, Arnaud, Cal, Jeff, Benoit, I think that's Knight HK, Auntie, Luis, Morgan, make sure I'm not missing anybody here, Zyman, let's see, Peter, did I say Peter already? Gun, Dominic, Guest 1982, whoever you are, you mystery person. Edge Crusher. This is how I do it. I just scan through the list of people's names and I just try to catch the ones that I recognize. Big Edie. Who else? J Fred. I may have said J Fred already. Okay. And on the other side, I see Grolix's, Dulce, Fikri, Jerry, Mjolnir, Ivan, and Euro Blue. Thanks everybody for being here today. Appreciate it. Let's see. Now the SC logo gets chopped off. Yeah, we can't get perfection here. This is like as far as perfect as this is as far from perfect as things are going to get, I think. Peter says, why Claude Code and not 8 or Emacs? I don't know. I haven't used it. I haven't really looked at it at all. Why not Arch? Why not Arch? Have you seen this channel before? This is not an Arch channel. I find it funny that David Heinemeier Hansen has now become like the figurehead of Arch Linux in a way. He made his, what was it called? Damn, what is the name of his original Ubuntu-based configuration? Starts with an O. It's not Omarchy because that's the one, oh, it's Omikub. Omikub? What was it called? Anyway, I'm not like besmirching the guy's name or anything. I think he's pretty cool. He's got some interesting opinions. And I think it's good that he switched to Linux from being a Mac OS user for, I guess, the rest of his life. Suffering channel. Omarchy, thank you. Omarchy is the Arch one. Omikub, yes, that's right. So anyway, no, I am not an Arch figurehead. That would be David Heinemeier Hansen right now. I'm the Geeks guy. Fikr says, I wonder if you consider showing chat on Echo area. That's a pretty good idea. I need to tighten some things up. And I've got some plans for that, but haven't been able to execute on them just yet. One of them is actually to connect to the Restream WebSocket API, which basically gives you the ability to get chat from both platforms in one stream and then show it. So MD explains, hi, fish terminal. No, I don't need fish because I don't really use a terminal that much. Guest is trying to troll here. Are you switching to Ruby? It seems to be a better Lisp. I don't know. Is it? I don't know if I believe that. Ruby's cool, though. I don't have a problem with Ruby. Grolix says, NixOS win. Never. Have you seen my video that pissed off a lot of NixOS users? It's not going to happen. Not because I don't like NixOS, just because I already got Geeks. Why do I need NixOS if I got Geeks already? All right, anyway. So, let me get back to the show notes. All right, let's get into the news. All right, the Emacs Conf 2025 is coming. It's at the beginning of December 6th, 7th, and the call for proposals is out right now. I don't know if I've mentioned this yet, but it is out. So what I mean is the call for proposals is out, and if you want to... Calculating. Is it going to load? Okay, good. If you want to submit a proposal to this conference, which I think you should because it's a cool conference, a lot of cool people speak there, you should do that by Friday, September 19th. So that's probably, what, like 3 weeks ago? 3 weeks from now? I'm not fully booted back up yet after all that turmoil. What's the parameters this time? Is it still 20 minutes? Format, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, description of other format and outline. So apparently it's either a 10-minute talk or a 20-minute talk. You basically just say what you want to talk about, and more than likely, if you have an Emacs topic that's interesting, they're going to pick you. So if you have something to talk about, like a technique you've used, a package that you like to use, a package that you've written, or anything else that's Emacs related, definitely consider submitting a talk. you don't even have to really talk about an Emacs package or Emacs coding. You could talk about your anecdotal experience using Emacs or something that's just tangentially related to Emacs, so long as it sounds interesting. There's been a lot of random stuff that has happened there. I think there was like a whole D&D thing by Howard Abrams last year where he used D&D, Emacs for D&D or something, right? Does anybody remember that? I didn't watch the whole thing, but I did see it. Anywho, consider submitting a CFP or a proposal for the CFP for Emacs Conf 2025. It's always a good time. Satya Chua does a great job putting that on. So do that, okay? Maybe I'll do it too, but probably I won't. I keep telling you to do it and I don't do it because I got things I got to do, man. Like, you know, fix my Geeks configuration. Rolex says, I started my career with Ruby and I will always love it. It's a good language, okay? And Ruby on Rails is good too. MD says, Emacs, who needs Emacs when you got NVim? You're living in the Victorian age. I would say you're living in the Victorian age if you're using Vim. Because there's more to life than just sitting in a terminal all day, isn't there? That was intentionally inflammatory. Maybe port actual Doom to Doom Emacs. It could be done probably. It wouldn't work very well. Oh, Ivan had a question before. Let me see what that question was. Ivan says, what do you think about EXWM and why don't you use it? Well, I used to use it all the time. I stopped using it for two reasons. One is that it wasn't being maintained anymore because there was a long period where the original creator kind of disappeared and never came back. Now it's been taken up by a few people in the community and it seems to be making progress, but since then I switched to Wayland. So I've been using Wayland for probably 3 years now. And I don't really have any interest in going back to Xorg. Not because I don't like it, just because I found that for me, Wayland is way more convenient in a lot of ways. Like I just run a command for the desktop environment to come up and it just comes up and it works with multiple displays with no trouble, good performance, et cetera, et cetera. So it's better for me. For me, not necessarily for you. Someone else out there probably would love to use EXWM. I think Big Edie still uses EXWM, and it's great. But I don't need to be literally in Emacs as the window manager to have basically a full Emacs experience. As you see on the screen right now, it's full screen Emacs all the time. This is what I look at all day. This and flipping back and forth between this and the browser. So I don't really need EXWM necessarily. Your Blue says, do you use Sway or Hyperland? Why one over the other? Sway is just simpler. I mean, Hyperland's got a lot of stuff in it that I don't really need. I might try it again. I tried it on stream once before, and I laughed at the inclusion of the waifu anime desktop backgrounds, because I guess that's a thing. But I don't really need it. But if you haven't seen that stream, it was pretty funny. You should check it out. But no, I don't really have a need for Hyperland, but I know people do use it. I think Glenneth uses it. The people who are in the chat should speak up. Actually, the people who are in the IRC chat, you can't see them because the browser overlay is not working today because of OBS. So those of you who are in the live stream chats on the other platforms, you should consider coming to systemcrafters.net/live and then jump in on the live chat box in here or join the System Crafters live channel on Libra chat, because that's where the primary chat for the stream is happening. That's the one that's right about here. Right there. Okay. Let me be reading this too. Oh, actually, let me put it on the other screen so I see it happening. I'm kind of doing it as a service for you all to see it on the screen, but I need to see it as it's going. Let's see. And Louis says, what's wrong with NVim? Now that I can configure it in lists, it's like Emacs. Nothing's wrong with it, man. I'm just... People are trying to troll me, so I'm trolling in return. Fade says, my memory is that Ruby doesn't even have a REPL built in. I think Ruby has a REPL, doesn't it? Noelbath says, did you see the lem editor switching from SDL2 to WebKit? Really? So they're just going to compete with Nixt now? Why? Jafer says, I've been using Sway for a long while, and at some point I want to try out Guile Swayer. Yeah, I want to try that too. What time is it? Okay. We got to get out of this in a second. Peter says, in my opinion, Emacs and NeoVim communities have united in the struggle against VS Code. That's for sure. Nullbat says, I use and love EXWM. And Big Edie says, EXWM for life. Gunn says, crafted Emacs in evil mode is the answer to all my needs. Well, that's great. I'm glad that Jeff is here to hear that. Yes, 1982 says, have you tried GNOME? Who are you? Who are you? You're doing a good job of trolling. Peter says, crafted Emacs is an awesome bootstrapping system. Yes, it is. Glenn says, I was using Hyperland and I switched to using Neri. I thought about doing a Neri stream, but I don't know. Like, every time I approached doing a Neri stream, I just kind of felt like, I don't know if I'm going to have enough to say in a stream about Neri. Like, tell me, Glenn, is there enough happening in Neri that's interesting that I could fill, well, let's say 1 hour, because the first hour of the stream is always a disaster, or me talking the whole time. So 1 hour, can I fill 1 hour of time talking about Neri, or is it going to take me 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and then the rest of the stream is going to be me finding some other way to waste time by talking? Let's see. Hey, Redacted. Nullbat says, yes, it's a depressing change. I hope Lim thinks long and hard over it. Sounds like if they're already thinking about doing that, then they must have a reason. I question it, though, because wouldn't it be better to just render things yourself and not try to, like, pull in a huge browser control and try to do things that way? Because as soon as you try to do that, then you have the browser side and the host side extension model, which is always a nightmare because you have to split the code in two places and you can't have one file very easily that has code that works in both, unless you're using macros to kind of hide the fact that you have some part of the code that goes to one place and some part that goes to the other. I just feel like that is not a good problem to have. John says the waifuification of Linux makes me embarrassed to say I use it. Yeah, we should have a longer conversation about the waifuification of Linux. There's not a problem with it. It's just funny to talk about it because, you know, I think I'm a little bit older than the whole, you know, anime invasion of geekdom. Of course, I was never really into geekdom per se. I'm kind of on the outskirts, you know. I'm an outsider, you know. I'm smoking my Marlboro Lights while watching all the, you know, Star Wars fans walk by. I don't know what I'm saying. I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm kind of like, I see it from a distance. I'm like, I don't get it. But that doesn't mean that people shouldn't do it. I just don't get it. Speaker says, brother, it's never too old to have an anime waifu. I don't know about that, man. Just the sound of that makes me wonder where my life would go wrong if I did that. That's just me. Bergheimer says, who cares about window managers? I don't really. You know, people like the idea of a tiling window manager. I don't need it, dude. I really don't even use it in Emacs. The most I have, like 99% of the time, is a split at the bottom, right? So I got this whole huge screen filled with huge text because I'm an old man and I can't see you very well anymore. Just kidding. And I don't use like tiling stuff. I'm in Sway just to have everything out of my way. I don't want anything in my face. All right. Let's see. Guest 1982 says, Neri brings a lot of features that Sway or Hyper don't have. Like you can exclude things from screen sharing and they won't appear during sharing. Yeah, I've heard about that. That's not bad. Redacted says, browsers are not document readers. They're container managers. That makes them tough to integrate with Emacs. And yeah, because you need to have like one malleable environment. And with a browser, you have one malleable environment that's chained to a host environment that is not really malleable. Could be, I guess, if it's Electron, but still you have that split between the two, and that introduces the need for RPC or some kind of, you know, protocol between the two, which always introduces complications because you can't pass objects across the wire. You have to do protocol communication of some sort. So right there, you've already got friction in your ability to customize the environment. All right. Kevboy says, am I watching AI simulate an audience of fake people that Dave is talking to? Wait, am I real? That would be actually really funny if I did that. If I just had AI fake the chat the entire time. I promise I'll get into the topic in a second. All right. Redacted says, hello, yeah, the geek streamer is definitely not a geek. I'm a different kind of geek, okay? Fade says, having an actual wife is probably contraindicator for this anime culture wife. I don't know, Fade. I think that maybe that's a little judgy. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing that you said something judgy, but yeah. Yes, 1982 says, it's good to have a waifu on the side. That's terrible. Hey, Treve. Where were you in the IRC earlier, dude? I guess I wasn't there either, so what can I say? Okay, all right. So, M dash. Yes, the M dashes would be what you would recognize, or the use of emojis. Speaking of which, where's Summer? Summer is our local AI, because all she does is blurt emojis into the chat all day. She's been MIA this week, probably another CIA mission. Okay. I don't know. That just doesn't sound good to me. All right, so let's get into the next topic of the news. The Emacs 30.2 has been released. The weird thing is, I have no idea what they fixed in it. I have no idea. If you look at the release notes of Emacs 30.2, it doesn't say anything, as far as I can tell, if it loads, because Savannah takes like 20 years to load a page. And also, if you look at the commit log, it's very, like, they changed the documentation string. There's no way that they changed the documentation string and submitted a bug fix update for that. There was a CVE in 30.1 that got fixed, or maybe it's 30.2, and that's just the only thing, is like a CVE got fixed, but it looked like it was for 30.1. Does anybody else know? 1982 says, did you try Omarchy? No, I have not. Trev says, Emacs stinks. I use Cursor AI now. Cursor stinks too, from what I hear. Rebecca says, Emacs 30.3 changelog. Fixed changelog. This really isn't going to load, is it? Okay, there we go, finally. Oh, this is the... it's not the news file itself. Ah, okay. So this is where I have to tell you that I'm an idiot, because I was looking at the log of only the news file. So let's look at the actual log before I besmirch the name of the people who work on Emacs. Where is... I need to keep the H, Emacs 30. How about that? Please load the page. Hey, alternate vid. All right, this is not even really worth the time, to be honest. Feeker says, well, Cursor is $200. Emacs is the entire PhD tuition. No, come on. All right, never mind. Anyway, Emacs 30.2 has been released. I didn't really see clear information about what got fixed in there. They just said it's bug fixes, so who knows? But if you want to update to Emacs 30.2, you can do that now, which is great. Edge Corrector says, someone told me to consider using Cursor at work. I told them to get lost. Makes sense. Another thing in the news is that Steve Yege, however you pronounce his name, Yege. Yes, that's Steve Yege, the one who used to write all the crazy blog posts back in the late 90s, early 2000s. And still, you know, he's around again. He's making Emacs videos from time to time. Berkheimer says that the site got F'd by AI crawlers. That doesn't surprise me because they're basically hitting everything right now. So he created an Emacs package called Efrit. I don't know how it's pronounced. A native eLisp coding agent running in Emacs. You can tell that the README was written by AI because it's full of emojis. I'm not exactly sure what it means, though. It sounds like you can queue up different things in this system, including multiple different AIs. and they can enhance its own functionality. Okay, so it can improve itself. To what end? Spawn independent Emacs instances for hours-long AI development sessions. So I guess that you're just plugging into Emacs in another way. There's a lot of these things going on right now. Garlix says Emacs 30.2 makes it sentient. Yeah, maybe. Rex says, I'm so sick of the AI-generated readmes. I get why they do it, but they all look the same. Yeah, the excessive emoji use, and there's just certain ways of writing that the AIs do that kind of makes it obvious a lot of times. Anywho, that's something to look at. If you're interested in this whole idea of coding agents controlling Emacs, then this is another thing out there. I really don't understand it yet. I might have to look into it a little bit more. That doesn't mean that it's not good. I just don't know what it is yet. Okay. So today, we're going to explore integrating Claude Code into an Emacs workflow, primarily for coding, but I'm going to tell you some things that I learned using it for other things as well, and try to improve upon the challenges that exist when you use it within terminal emulators in Emacs like EAT and vterm. Claude Code is a heavily terminal-based program. It is all in the terminal. In fact, let me see if I can just pull it up real quick. Trying to think of the best place to do this. CD, projects, sites, SC, ops. Streams. There we go, demo. All right, good. Let's do it in here. So, I'm gonna do this through Node because I haven't installed Node. In fact, maybe I should just install Node. So, Geeks install Node. I don't recommend doing this, but I'm just gonna do it right now because why not? Okay, Node works. Whatever. Claude. In fact, if you want to install Claude, first things you need to know. Can you see this? Is it big enough? Let me actually see if I can bump the size up. All right. npm install -g anthropic AI / Claude code. You need to have Node.js installed to do this. But if you run npm install g anthropic AI Claude code, then you have the Claude command line app. If you run that, it pulls up this terminal app, and basically, it's just a prompt at the bottom, and then it just has a feed of things that are happening. So, how do you manage Node on Geeks? Well, Node 22 is in the package repo, and you can install it. Yeah. Alternate Vet says, is EAT not maintained anymore? I don't know. Bergheim says, half a year or so since last commit. Well, I don't know. It works all right. It's pretty fine. I've been using it for Claude in Emacs, and it works all right. So anyway, we're in a folder here. Let me see. What should I do? Okay. Let me give some context. To demonstrate Claude Code and also Claude Code integration into Emacs today, I have a little project in mind, which is to write an XMPP client for Guile, or actually more accurately, an XMPP client library for Guile using Claude Code. Why do I want to do this? Because I actually have an idea to have basically chatbots, my own chatbot, not an AI bot, hooked up into machines that I have, like my personal machines or servers, so that I can send it commands to get status and stuff from an XMPP client on my phone. So basically, I'll be communicating with programs on my servers using messages over XMPP. Why do that instead of using SSH? Because it's a fun idea, and I'm going to do it anyway. I don't care what you think. So I need a client library for XMPP in Guile Scheme. Why Guile and not some other language? Well, I thought about doing it in Janet because I've been coding Janet a little bit lately too. But really, like if you want to deploy this to a Geeks server, which I have a couple, it seems like it makes more sense to do it in Guile for everything to sort of be in one language. So I'm just going to write it in Guile. Peter says, my experience with Claude Code and Guile was hallucinating. Yes, well, that's a general experience with Claude Code and maybe other programming tools. If you let them go on their own, they will just generate a bunch of junk. So I'll talk about that a little bit too. But yes, the biggest problem I had with writing scheme with Claude Code is that it does a really bad job of closing parentheses, and that's going to be the case in any Lisp language. So I had to kind of hold its hand and fix all of its parentheses problems most of the time. But I've also got an idea for how I can help it with that. So maybe I'll try that here too, if we have time. Redacted says, this is system crafting. We don't need reasons to do things here. You're right. We don't need reasons because it's mostly just for fun anyway, right? Okay, so let me create a folder. I don't know what to call this thing. Make dear Guile XMPP. Whoop, that's the wrong place to do that. Make dear Guile XMPP. I guess I could have let it do that. Let's see. I'm gonna do get init in this folder shoot anyway. Why not? And then we'll run Claude again in this folder. Okay. Claude Code really needs MCP servers to demonstrate to documentation to reduce the hallucinations. Yikes. I can't read today. Maybe. Fade says Gemini is the best I found for dealing with Lisp. That's interesting. Okay, so I can start by getting to write a project and to sort of show you how it looks in the terminal, in a real terminal emulator. Right now we're looking at this in Foot. This is not in Emacs. We're in Foot right now. And then talk about the differences of doing it this way and with doing it in Emacs. So you'll see a difference pretty much immediately when I start doing it inside of Emacs. So let's just give it a little bit of context, and we're going to write something for this. In this folder, I want to write a new Guile Scheme library to provide an XMPP client XMPP client to be used in other applications. This will be deployed to Geeks machines, so it will need a geeks.scm file with package definition. What other context do I want to do for this? The idea, or I guess the primary use case is for writing bots that will have message handlers that perform some action and may respond with a message to the sender. There should also be an allow list for XMPP JIDs for those who are allowed to add to roster or send messages to the bot. Your prompt costs 1 gallon of water. Yes, apparently. Let's see. Cool says, do you know how there's work going on adding support for Lua and Python and GNU Guile? Website says it's underway. Can't find any recent info on it. Yeah, if you go look at the Guile Devel mailing list, all you'll see lately is people arguing. I don't know if any of you follow the Guile Devel mailing list, but it's really just been a little bit of drama there recently. Not much in the way of language support being added that I can tell. Context 7 is what you want for up-to-date documentation. Is it? What is that? Schlepping. Yes. Gunn says, Claude is speaking German. Yes, Claude likes to use a lot of cute words to say that it's doing something. I don't know why. All right. What else do I want to say on that? Try to use functional style design patterns. And keep the code as minimal as possible. Oh, and I should also turn on plan mode. So, trying to decide like when I want to talk about certain things here. So Claude, I'll tell you why I think Claude Code is good. It's a nicely designed tool. It has the ability to switch between different models that are provided by Anthropic, the people who make Claude. There are different sort of trying to think of the right word to use for this. There's different levels of complexity of the models that you can choose. The most complex one or the most powerful one, let's say, is Opus. The one after that is Sonnet, which is kind of the default in a lot of cases. And then there's Haiku and other smaller ones below that. Typically, when you start up Claude Code, at least as of like a week ago, the Sonnet model is the one that is going to give you by default. And that is the sort of mainstream model, which does pretty good with coding tasks. And also, it doesn't eat up all your quota. So if you're a subscriber to the Pro plan or higher on Anthropic's subscription plans, you get access to Claude Code. The Pro plan, you will probably run out of tokens pretty fast, especially if you use Opus. Opus will just eat everything up really quickly. So you probably want to stay on Sonnet most of the time. Well, there's a cool feature in here that I can't show you right now because I would have to delete the whole message that I just wrote. But you can change it to a special model which uses Opus for plan mode and uses Sonnet for everything else. And plan mode is the thing that you can turn on by using Shift-Tab in the terminal. And you can see down here it says plan mode on. And instead of it going and just writing a bunch of code immediately, what it will do is construct a plan and then present it to you. And if you accept it, then it will execute on that plan. But the special model, it actually switches from Opus. It uses Opus for the planning, and then it switches to Sonnet for the execution. So you get the better quality model for the actual plan creation, and then the more mainstream, cheaper model for, not the cheapest model, but the cheaper model for all the actual coding tasks. Because it basically just follows the plan at that point. So this is a pretty good way to do things that I found. We will try it out here and see what the quality of the code is. I'm not going to let it go and just write everything itself. What I found is that if you turn on auto accept mode for large code changes or like writing a bunch of the code from scratch, it's going to write a bunch of crap. You don't want that. You want to be involved in the process, which means interrupting it while it's working. You know, you'll see me do that now. Interrupting it while it's working and telling it to change what it's doing because it's going to go down some bad paths. That's the only way that you're going to get good results out of this thing. You're basically code reviewing it over its shoulder the entire time that you are working with it. And that's okay because nobody wants to use like blindly generated code because it's going to be terrible. Redacted says, to be fair, I also write crap and no one stops me. That's true. Like a human being would probably also write crap code if not, given any feedback. Which that's okay in some cases if you're writing tools for yourself, but if you're trying to write tools for other people to use, you kind of want to have some feedback on that, even if it's you giving feedback to the AI. So what we're going to do here is put in this prompt, let it come up with a plan, and then we'll see if we like the plan or not. Let me see, what else should I say? Include in the plan how you will structure the project folders, the overall design of the library, and how you will write the Geeks package. You can basically tell it whatever you want, and it will do it for you. So I'm going to press enter here and let it do some stuff. It's going to think a little bit and come up with a plan. We'll see what it does. It will take a little while. It won't take too long. Research XMPP protocol basics and Guile XML libraries. Well, there's one built in already. It's called SXML. I don't know if it's good for this, though. What are you doing? Guile not a bit. That's how you're going to check to see if Guile is available? Okay. How about just Guile -- version? It will do some silly things, but also it will do some really smart things at times. Is the stream stuttering because I'm using AI? That'd be pretty funny. Actually, it might be. Let me see what it looks like on my side. It seems relatively stable. Let me know if it gets bad. All right, so it's doing a lot of things here. It's checking out things from its internal to-do list. Cool says, does someone know about the drama that's going on in Guile Develop? It's just people arguing about how they communicate with each other. All right, so it's going through, it's mulling over what I asked it to do, and it will present us with a plan in a moment. Peter says, in my experience, it is now inventing Guile libraries. Yeah. You mean like it will think that they exist? Yeah, I usually guide it to use Geek Search to see what's available because I don't really care about anything that's not in Geeks at this point. Come on now, it doesn't take that long. Come on, I'm waiting. I'm waiting. It's the bigger model. It takes more time. It's doing its research. Sometimes you have to mold wine. Not this time of year. Maybe not. Sometimes you have to jog it into a result. Okay, here we go. So let's see what it says. And this is the overall experience. You type in a prompt, and then it just prints out a bunch of stuff at the screen. You can kind of see how it works. I should have told it to think so we could see its thought process, but I forgot to do that. All right, Guile XMPP library design plan, project structure, geeks SCM, readme.md. You failed already. It should be .org. License GPL3+. That's a little bit too restrictive. All right, XMPP core, stanza, Sassel, roster, presence, message, bot. All right, message handling, presence handling, roster management. We don't need to have this thing be like completely like a full implementation, but maybe it'll do it. Who knows? We'll see. Simple echo bot example, command-based bot example, some tests that it wants to generate. That's good. All right, connection management. Immutable connection record type with fields. Pure functions returning new connection states. Stream negotiation as straight transformations. Cool. TLS support via GNU TLS. For stanzas, XML, S-expression-based XML representation. I like that. Pure functions for building stanzas. Pattern matching for parsing responses. No mutation, return new stanza structures. It really took me seriously whenever I told it to use functional style. Bot configuration as immutable record. I don't know if I like that too much. Message handlers as pure functions. Yes, sure, of course. Allow list as part of bot configuration. Functional event loop with bold over incoming messages. Is really going hard on the functional style. Okay, allow less implementation. Bot config, make bot config, bot JID password handlers allow list. Okay, that's fine. Authorized. Okay, message handler pattern, make handler pattern action. That I'm not so sure about. We don't necessarily need to go that far. But I don't really want to waste the time trying to tell it at this level how I want to change this design. I could do it later. Coming up with a plan is good enough to start with, and then we can make incremental changes as we go through it. In fact, whenever it starts writing the code, I can even tell it I don't want it to do something. Okay. All right, the package definition, we're going to do a local checkout, which makes sense. Phases, delete configure, set module dir, allow other keys out. Okay, so it's basically setting the load path. Replace build, invoke guild compile. Okay, so it's getting the... Why are you only doing the core? Oh, okay, it's got ... Basically saying that it's going to do all of them. Installing it. Do we need to do that? All that? Maybe we do. Who knows? Guile 3, GNU TLS, Guile GNU TLS. Okay, cool. So implementation steps. Core connection module. Okay. XML stanza parser builder using SXML or minimal custom expression format. I like the sound of that. It'd be good if it could use regular SXML, but it's kind of limited in my experience in this implementation in Guile. Excuse me. Speaker says, important clause on the prompt, make no mistake. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be the case. Sassel auth, message presence handlers, pure functions with pattern matching, bot framework, event loop, handler dispatch, state management, example bots, geeks packaging. All right. Emphasizes functional purity, sure does. Minimalism, core XMPP features only, yes. Security and composability, small focus modules that work together. Sounds good. So, I don't really want to auto-accept the edits. It would be faster if I did, but things get off the rails really fast. So what I can do is I can start by manually approving the edits, and then if I feel like it's going in the right direction, I can just tell it to keep going and do it itself. Jayford says, interesting geeks.scm. It's not using most of the GNU build system, it seems. Yeah, it doesn't need to since it's basically a Guile-only library, but if it had native components, it would probably need to use the automake stuff. Let's get going with it. Let's see what it does. Update to-do list and start implementing. Let's go. Now, I'm probably going to stop this halfway through so that I can switch over to Emacs and show you what it looks like on the inside of Emacs. It's possible this thing could write most of the library and have it working fast. I don't know. We'll see. But we'll stop it halfway through. We'll try it in Emacs. You'll see what I mean about how the UI gets a little bit wonky. So let's see. It wants to make the directories. Yeah, sure. Let's do that. And basically what it'll do is ask you before every step for it to do things. It will show you diffs. of the changes it wants to make. It will ask you if you like the diff, and then you can tell it if you want it to make changes. And if you tell it to make changes that affect the other files it's already made, or like the future design stuff that it's going to spit out, it will make changes to all that as well. So you can kind of like change its direction in the middle of its work, which is a good thing to be able to do to control the behavior. All right, that's a lot of code it's generating for this one. Let's see. It's making a record type for connections. Where's this coming from? Surfy 9. Okay, regular record types. For parsing JIDs. JIDs are basically like the username for an XMPP account. Local domain resource. Okay, good that it's getting a resource too. It's finding the index of the @ and the slash. It's using cond here. I wonder if it could use match instead. At post / post position. Substrings. I would tell it to implement that differently, using string split potentially and a match expression. And I might do that. Domain from JID. Okay. Connect. We're using socket library to connect to the server. Connect XMPP to JID. Connect to XMPP server. Return connection object. So what does it do? It gets the domain out of the JID, and it tries to connect. Send stream header. It sends the beginning XML document stuff. All right. Extract stream ID from the server response. Read until tag. Read from socket until we see the specified XML tag. So we're kind of reading the XML stream raw here. Doing a little loop. We're reading characters and we're buffering them. Let new buffer, string append buffer. It feels like we should probably be reading in chunks rather than trying to read one character at a time, but whatever. That's the thing that can be improved later. Sending data, display data. I'm guessing, okay, this is giving it as a port. Socket output, force output, it's flushing it. Read data. Okay, close connection. We're sending the end of the stream tag, let's say. Socket input, socket output, socket get output port for socket. Well, it doesn't do anything. That's kind of weird. Returning the socket again. Is that for an abstraction, I wonder? Jose, let's see if I can do this. I'm gonna tell it to use string split and match for that parse JID. Also, it can use a regex too, couldn't it? For parse JID, can you use either string split plus the match expression or a regular expression to extract the components of the JID? Let's see what it does with that. Since it already wrote a bunch of code, now it has like reanalyzed the stuff that it did. Okay. What did it tell me? Did it say I had a great idea? No, it didn't tell me anything. That's funny. Sometimes it just wants to tell you you got a great idea. All right, so it's using a regular expression, which it should have because it had already pulled in IC9 regex. I don't know why it didn't try to use a regex anyway. Look at that. How much simpler is that? You really have to tell it to do things sometimes. All right, so we're going to let it create that file. That's fine. Next, stanza builder parser. And a stanza, I believe, is like a fragment of XML that can be sent over a stream, because normally you would have an entire XML document, but in a protocol that uses XML, you can't have like a whole document at once because the stream is ongoing over some period of time. So you got to send like fragments. Grolix says, yeah, when LLMs give you praise for your idea, it feels silly. Yeah, it does feel silly, for sure. Sometimes, actually, another great feature of Claude is that you can configure its behavior using a file called claude.md inside your repo, and you can tell it not to tell you that your ideas are great. In fact, you can tell it to tell you your ideas are stupid, which we could try if you want to. And then it will actually listen to what you said for the most part. Okay, so we got another library being generated here. We're not going to read through all this. This appears Simpler. Did you notice the letter vermicelli in the let block? I didn't see that. Okay, so what time is it? All right. Make message stanza. This is returning a back-quoted expression. So it's basically writing SXML here, a message format. That's kind of cool that it could do that. That's good. Create present stanza SXML. IQ stanza. Stanza to SXML. It's going to use SXML to XML to generate a string from that. Beringheim says, do you feel this is a tool that works well with them, but is really underwhelming given that we are in Emacs? See you, Fade. I mean, I guess it would work with them. Why wouldn't it? It works well with either, I think. All right, so we're also parsing the SXML. I hope that works well. Extract attribute value from stanza. Okay. Oh, it uses the max expression. That's good. Great. That's a good use case. And then it's writing higher level functions to extract certain things from the stanza. That's cool. Extract message body text from the stanza. Find. We're using match to find the first element that matches the expression here. Wait a second. No. Look at this. This is awful. Hold on. Okay, body must be in a list. This is really dumb. You see what I'm saying? This is dumb because it's using find. Unless I'm reading this wrong. Why doesn't it just read the text out of it immediately here? I don't understand that. I think that it doesn't look right. Sometimes it duplicates things whenever it writes scheme, and I try to tell it, like, flip it so that you're doing the expression only once. Body must be a list. We're using find to find the element that matches this, but then we're matching that against the same criteria. Why not just return what you found? Okay, yes, exactly. We're going to have technical debt because people are just going to blindly let it write code and not review it. You have to review the code. Like, there's no way around it. Maybe later, LLMs will be good enough that they can write code that doesn't need constant reviewing. That's the problem, the point where we're going to have a real problem. But for now, at least, it does some dumb stuff that it's going to cost you, I think. I'm going to tell it to take another look at message body. Everything else looks okay. What the hell is this? Oh, okay. It needs a unique stanza ID. That's fine. It says, this just means I can get paid to clean up the tech debt. Yeah, that's true. So, just keep an eye on the time. I'm going to tell it to rewrite message body. So rewrite message body to use match only once to extract the body text. There's no need to use the pattern twice. If it returns F, then you're done. So Berkheimer says GPT-5 is super underwhelming. Actually, I disagree. There have been a number of things where Claude will give me a not so good answer on a harder technical question, and then GPT-5 will give a very insightful answer and have better details. So what I found is that for just writing code, Claude Code is great. But if I need to figure out a hard problem, I will ask ChatGPT-5 about the problem. And then based on what it tells me, I will tell Claude Code how to write the solution. Because sometimes it doesn't get things right, especially if it's like putting together things or making complicated architectures. Claude Code doesn't necessarily get it right the first time. And it will do a lot of really dumb things. All right, look, message body is now much simpler. It uses one match expression to find the item in the list. This is even better than what I had in mind, where it has body and it takes the body text out and returns the body text. Okay, much better, okay? That's what you should have done the first time. It's very clear that we're hitting diminishing returns now. We are hitting diminishing returns to some degree, but I think that we're at the point where the tooling is what's going to bridge the gap. The quality of the tooling and the tools themselves is what's going to save everything. Or at least help push it forward. I mean, like, there's only so much you can do to train models, I think, because they're going to get way too heavy to run for so many users. Yeah, we're not going to get fired anytime soon, but your employer is going to ask you to use AI. That's inevitable. You're not going to be able to go much longer without your employer asking you to use AI, which is fine, I think. We should accept it as sort of the way that things are going to be, at least for now. Maybe the hype will die down, but I don't think that it's all hype. I think that there is a lot of hype, but I think that there's also value to the AI tools, but they also do a lot of stupid things. So it takes its own skill set to use it, I believe. Anyway, it's like saying you don't Google or use Stack Overflow. Yeah, I know. All right, so look, this is the point where I'm going to stop. I'm going to let it continue what it's doing. I'm going to interrupt it like Kanye. I'm going to switch over to Emacs. I'm going to run eat project. Now, we're in an eat terminal. This is not where I expected it to be. Let's see. What was it? Content, streams. 2025, 22. All right, here we go. So, demos. CD Guile XMPP. Now we're going to switch over here. This is another thing you can do with Claude. You can stop a session right in the middle, and then you can go resume it another time. So I'm going to use Claude -R. It's going to ask me which session I want to pull back up, and this is the one that I just created. So if I pull that back up, then we're right back where we were, which is pretty nice. It saves all this stuff on your machine. I don't know how much file space it's going to take up, but you can at least see that all the stuff that we're doing is still there. Now, you can see immediately that the representation of things is a little bit weird in EAT. In vterm, it's a little bit better. The highlighting is a bit better. I think it's assuming that we have a black background color for the text in here or something. I don't know what it's doing with that. Maybe EAT's doing it. Who knows? Someone is working on the System Crafter site. I am working on the System Crafter site. Let's see. So we can keep going where we left off here. So I'm going to go ahead and type in. Niklaus says, can we set up the chat on screen? Unfortunately not. Here's what I could do. Watch this. You'll never believe what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to put you right here. The browser overlay is not working because OBS got busted. So you're going to see real soon what I mean when I say that the experience could be a little bit wonky inside of Emacs terminal emulators. So please continue with what you were doing. I'll just tell it to keep going. Already, you can see that the changing of this little star character that it uses for progress, it causes the text to dance around a little bit. I don't know what kind of text rendering issue that is. It's doing okay so far otherwise, but it does some weird stuff the longer the output is. Let me see how long this output is. It's basically printed back out the entire history of what we talked about before. And that's part of where the problem lies, is that it keeps like writing out the entire history when it refreshes the UI, I think. And it does some strange things. All right, so look. This is the Sassel auth module. Create a Sassel plain authentication stanza. I'm not going to look at this too deeply, okay? Because we're just going to be here forever and I don't have time for that. Challenge data, got that. Let's see, auth success, sure. This is not much code. Make auth plain, username, password. Make auth response. Parse auth challenge, auth success, auth failure. Cool. And it's using match to decide whether it was a success or failure. That's cool. That's not bad. 9.5 seconds to see that on screen. Refresh your stream, maybe. Sometimes it gets behind. All right, so let's let it create this file. I don't care too much. I'm going to press enter here. See you again. All right, message handling. Probably, I want to see it do the thing that I know it's going to do before I switch to one of these other libraries that I want to show you. Because there's a couple of Emacs packages that might make this experience better. I haven't tried them yet, though. So we'll be trying it for the first time here. Oh. Okay, so creating message.sem. This is a small module. Make message to body. And then some other fields here, optional fields. Reply to message. Reply message to the original sender of a message. Make message from original message. Okay. Reply to body. Okay. Check if message is a chat message. Some of the, okay, I mean, some of the indentation I would change. I would drop that down to another line, but I'm not going to tell it to do that. You can tell it doesn't write scheme or doesn't understand, like, you know, the aesthetics of writing scheme because it doesn't do line breaks sometimes. Extract message info, extract key information from the message stanza. Oh, interesting. All right. So it's basically returning an A list with certain details. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. Pretty small. Presence handling. I wonder how difficult that is. So far, the code has not been that complicated, which I'm a little bit surprised by, to be honest. We're going to see if it works or not, though. It might not work. The good thing is that it seems pretty testable. Assuming that the tests that it writes are an accurate representation of reality. Make available, make unavailable. Sending stanzas for these. Make subscribed. Okay. Request, presence, approval, presence. Make present stanza. What is the function for that? Make present stanza. Where's that defined? It must be in core. All right. Oh, it's doing the other thing again where it's using match twice. Why do that? Yeah, it doesn't understand how you should use match effectively. See you, Luis. Okay. So for find element text, don't use match twice. You know what you're looking for. Just extract it when you find it. It's a really weird thing it's doing. Yeah, exactly. Wait, what? Sure, I would change the name of that variable, but whatever. T text and T text. You don't have to do that. You can quote the T, the tag in the T. You quote the tag symbol in the match expression, they skip the equal check. Ah, is that why it did it that way? Okay, it's using a recursive loop now instead. That's fine. Perhaps that's better. I don't know what kind of code it's generating when you do this, but maybe it's better. I'll let it be now. I'll stop harassing it. Okay, so I haven't seen it do yet what I wanted to point out. I'll tell you what it is, because I think we should move on to the actual packages, not just let you watch me talk to AI the whole time. What tends to happen is that the longer the session gets in your terminal emulator, the more it starts to like just scroll the screen repeatedly. It just starts scrolling. It gets into a weird loop where it won't stop because there's too much text in the screen, and at the same time, it's trying to refresh parts of the terminal screen or the terminal output to rewrite it. and it's causing the terminal to scroll up and then down over and over and over again. I don't know if other people have seen that when they've used Claude Code in these terminal emulators, but there are other packages that you can use for Emacs that integrate Claude Code in a way that might make it a lot better, where basically you can show the diffs for the changes it wants to make inside the editor, and also respond to prompts for it in the editor, and even send it messages from inside the editor and not inside of the terminal itself. So there's a package by Steve Molitor called claude-code.el. I just found out about this today. What is that? Oh, okay. It must be Claude using itself in the commit messages. So it says, seamless Emacs integration. Start, manage, and interact with Claude without leaving Emacs. Stay in your buffer. Send code, reasons, or commands to Claude while keeping your focus. That part is pretty interesting because it would be easier to tell it what you want it to change without having to describe it too much. It would also save you from using tools too much to find the code that you're talking about. If you can just sort of point out the line where it is. Let me take a little sidebar to tell you about using these models effectively to cut down on costs. The AI models, or at least the one from Claude Code, you get charged based on the number of tokens that you use, the number of tokens that you send, and the number of tokens you receive. And a token is not necessarily a letter or a word. It's kind of like it breaks up all the text that you give it into chunks that it understands and sends that to the server. So it doesn't necessarily, it's not a one-to-one connection to the number of words that are there, but it could be. So whenever you send a request to the server for the AI to do something, it's going to send what you said and also a lot of other context along with what you said to give the AI the information it needs to respond to what you said. Now, there is actually some kind of caching happening on the server where they will cache some of the context from your session, but really you're going to end up sending a lot of stuff every request, and it's going to be more and more as the session goes on. So you're going to have more and more context built up about the conversation you're having, and you want to try to limit the amount of context, because the more context you have built up, the more it's going to send tokens to the server, which means you're going to run out of quota faster. So to minimize that, you need to do two things. One is that you need to try to create less context. Grolix says, pro tip, have your employer pay for it. That's one way to do it, but you still could run out of quota because they may not pay for the top plan. Minimize context by using it, having smaller sessions. Don't try to do too much stuff in one session. Another way is to use tools effectively, or give it the more context it needs to find the things you want it to do without it having to go grep over your files a bunch of times. Because if you tell it, oh, change the function so-and-so to do something different, it's going to have to look for that function in the code because it doesn't inherently know where that function is. It's going to use grep or find or something to find that function in the code, which is one tool call, which might send something to the server, and it's going to create more context for you to send to the server. So basically what I'm trying to say is to limit the amount of context that you need to generate and send. If you have your editor context where you have you send a specific region of text, or you have your cursor on a line, you say, where my cursor is, fix this function, it's going to make it easier to not generate or send too much context to the server. So this is already going to be an improvement, I think, if you use Claude a lot. Run separate Claude sessions for different projects. Fix errors instantly. Point at a fly check, fly make error, and ask Claude to fix it. That would be pretty nice. Not having to actually run the build to do that. If you just get diagnostics back from eglot, it might be able to fix those immediately. Optionally include file paths and line numbers when sending commands to Claude. It has a transient menu, which is cool. Yeah, there's also a Claude Code IDE that I haven't seen before. You can resume conversations. You can cycle modes, desktop notifications when it's finished. You can use it with both EAT and vterm as backends, which is good, I guess. And it's also fully customizable. So I think it just uses the Claude Code that you have installed on your machine. You don't have to do any kind of authentication or have a key. You just set it up and it should just go. So here's what we're going to do. It seems to be in Melpa. From vterm. I can just copy and paste this code. That's what we like doing on this channel. We just copy and paste code. We don't write anything ourselves. So I will go into the Scratch buffer and drop this in. Actually, I should go into the show notes. So August, Guile I'll just put this in here, and then they're doing the key map of Control CC. I'm okay with that, I guess. Optional ID integration with Monet. Start server function. I want to look at that too. Maybe I should just go ahead and put that in right now because we'll take a look at that soon. This is another package by the same author, which is, I think, it's basically a way for your Emacs to be an MCP server, I think. Something like an MCP server. I don't want to go into details on what that is right now. Just assume that it means that it can control Emacs. So I'm going to install Monet first. Let it do its thing there. Okay, and I'm installing it directly from the Git repository for the project. And then I'm going to install claude-code as well. And let it think for a little bit and do what it needs to do. Ismail says, or use an open LLM. Yes, if you can use one on your local machine, that would also be good, but you kind of have to have a beefy machine for that to work well. What's taking so long? Interesting. Let me see what messages says. Nothing specific. Can I run it again? Yes, overwrite the checkout. I don't know what the source of the hang here is. Garlix says Monet, Claude, I get it, yeah. Let me take some of this stuff out. I don't know if this has anything to do with it. Excuse me. Can't be the cloning the repository takes that long. How big is this repo? How many commits? 38 commits, come on. Nicolas says, reading about Claude code, it says it requires projectile? No way, come on. Let's see. Oh, it's just project.el, which is all it really needs. This thing really is like hanging. I may have to clone the repo myself and then add it to the load path or something, because this is not working very well. The Monet repo is full of lily pads. What does that mean? See you, Knight. Okay. Oh, that's a different package, Niklaus. So, what am I looking for? I'm looking for, I guess I could just run a shell. Not the right repo. So, what did they put in the repo? What is happening? Is there like a video in here or something? There's GIF files. Don't put GIFs in the repo. Dude, look at that. How many megabytes is this repo? Look in bin for big blobs. What is in there? This is not good. Whoa. What is this? Okay, that's just a bash script. $25 megabytes for one file. Holy crap. And I probably can't even do like a depth of 1 to avoid that because it's got to clone the whole thing. This is crazy. I think I can probably just drop this into the The ELPA folder, right? Not suspicious at all. It's one file. Dude, he needs to take this thing out of the repo. That's insane. Did the AI people make something that works but has a stupid mistake included? Now, this is a different thing entirely. We can watch a demo while we wait. How long are we going to wait, though? The 283? Okay. So what we have here is that we've updated the GIFs a few times. 2 times, potentially. And we've just got a bunch of blobs inside the repo. Okay, finally it got pulled down. My lord. All right, I swear I'm done complaining about that. Can't you clone excluding a file? I don't know. It would be good if you could. All right, so move claude-code.el to, let's see, .emacs d elpa. What's in there? claude-code.el. Is it Claude Code? All right, cool. So let's go to... All right, I'm going to rmrf the Claude Code one and move claude-code.el to Claude Code because that's the way it expects to be called. And then weaponizing image scaling against AI production AI systems. Hey, Robin. Okay, so let's go back here. I don't want it to try to pull it again. Overwrite previous checkout? No. How can I get it to not try to check it out again? Emacs, package, VC. Well, actually, this is a use package thing, right? Exists to always prefer the latest commit. Use a local copy instead of the one from GNU ELPA. I could probably do that just for now. What was it? .emacs.d/elpa/claude code. No. Is it ensure that's causing me the problem here? Let's do this. How about no? Thank God. Okay. Well, that was fun. So we have the Claude commands, I think, now, right? Probably there's some auto loads. I would hope so. Okay, there we go. All right, now we got the bindings. Let me pull back in these hooks. Probably they expected you to run Claude Code mode and have it turn that stuff on. So Control-C. It's got a key map. All right, there we go. Claude Code key map stuff. All right, so how do we use this thing now that it downloaded all the GIFs? Oh, wrong repo. Go back, go back. Setting prefix key, Claude Code terminal backend is eat by default. That's good. Control-C apparently is how you start Claude. So I'm going to go back to my eat shell and I'm going to get out of it. No, that's the wrong one. Eat. Oh, that's why. There we go. Okay. So, no, I don't want to create that right now. I want to actually quit this. And I want to see what it does. So Control-C. It's also in the wrong folder path. Why did it do that, though, if I'm in a folder that's got a Git repo? Let me see if I can close it. Kill all, K. K, all right, so Control C, C, K. Yes. All right, fine. Next, we have get status here. Switch project, and I want to do the dot option, and then we're gonna go into same thing we did before: content streams, demos, and then Guile XMPP V. Okay, so now that we're in here, Control C, C, C gets me back into this folder, and I can use the /resume command. No. Why does it scroll up so much? And I'll pull back up the conversation we already had. Okay, so we're in the conversation. Let's see. Maybe it has a resume on its own. Capital R. So Control C, C, capital R. Instance is already running. Instance name. I got no idea what that means. Start clause, start in directory. I could have done that. C. Control C, C, capital C. It doesn't do completions, which is weird. Maybe it's because I'm already in one. New instance. Where is the transient? Control C, C, M. I should be looking at the actual transient. All right. T, toggle Claude window. Okay, Control C, C, M. What did I just do? Control C, C, M. What is capital N? Cycle Claude mode. Okay, I didn't want to do that. Control, oh, I'm already here. M, M. All right, good. Fix error point, fork conversation, send buffer file, send region or buffer, send command with context. Are these just the key map, I wonder? What if I hit S? Okay, so you can type the command here and use Emacs editing here instead of using their funky buffer, which is not such a bad thing. Maybe I'll do that. So we've got some code that was writing for the roster. Let me tell it to do it again. Now, what I want to see is if it shows me diffs, because that's kind of the big thing. Control C, C, S. Please continue where you left off. All right, inserted that text into the shell. That's good. I wonder how it tracks that. Linting. I don't think you're linting at all. Interesting that it didn't pop that up in a buffer or something. I figured it might do that. Is there something that needs to be done for the diff behavior? Okay, whatever. Anyway. Let's see how far he gets. Make roster get. Just checking to see if anything looks like really wrong. Match is being used correctly. That looks like it's being used correctly. Filter map, okay. Okay, looks fine. Implement the bot framework. I mean, we're almost done writing the code. And then we can basically try some of the other features as we go. I should probably leave some code in that I wanted to change so that I can do that using one of the built-in commands. Bot.sem, SEM, let's see. Bot config, make bot config. Got the record type that it said, make handler pattern action. Okay, string match pattern body. Authenticate bot connection, connection config. So it will try to connect to a server. See redacted. Yes. Make auth plane, send data connection. All right, so this seems like it should be somewhere else. It's a general authentication function. Send initial presence, process stanza. With bot handlers, match stanza, message from, process message. Okay, so it's distinguishing between message and presence types. Loops with the handlers, it runs a match. Values f state. What is it doing? Is that the end of the loop? Maybe that's what that is. Let values response new state. Okay, it's basically threading state through using values, which I think is kind of weird. I guess maybe not. If response values response new state. Process presence con present subscribe. Main bot event loop. Is it calling itself recursively? Yes. Process stanza, response, new state. When response, send data connection. Okay, so the handler might return a response. When response, I got it. I see. Run bot config. Probably should have told this thing to use fibers too. I forgot about that. Okay, this seems fine for now. Why is it not prompting me though? It seems like it should be actually asking me these things in prompts. Oh, okay, I forgot. So you're supposed to be able to press Control C 1, 2, or 3. You want to create echo bot.scm. Make handler.star. Handlers, list echo handler. Okay, so you just give it a list of handlers, that's fine. Okay, lambda message state. Make bot config, run bot config. Do you want to create echo bot? I'm gonna use Control C C1. And it accepted it. Okay, so you don't have to like go into the terminal just for the purpose of responding to the prompt. Another bot that has more commands. Command handler echo. That's pretty nice. I mean, it's not bad. I would have a more terse way to do this, or more concise way to do this. I mean, defining handler values is not a bad thing, I guess. I guess you could do it in line, but it still seems a little bit verbose to set this up. Apply to message. Available commands. That's cool. All right, I think we're almost done with this. It will be interesting to see if it works in the time that we were sitting here opining about AI. It's going to create some tests too, it seems. For the rest of this, let's take a look at the Geeks package. I think we already saw the content of that. Oh, did it simplify it? This is not the same as what it did before, I think. Source files. Okay, that's actually better. That's better. For the rest of this, I'm just going to tell it to go ahead and write it all itself. So I'm going to use Control CC2 to select this allow all edits during the session. It's going to turn it on to accept edits mode. And then it's just going to go ahead and finish writing all that itself. So it's going to create the tests, it's going to write the README, and then that should be all done. Let's see what happens there. Okay, it's going to write its README out. I hope it doesn't put a bunch of emojis in there. Probably it won't. But who knows? We're about to find out. Yeah, no emojis. Why is everybody getting so many emojis in their READMEs? Because this looks pretty good as a README. It's not bad. What was the API token cost? Well, it won't tell me because I'm on a plan, so it can't say what it was. All right, let's see. It's got all its features using Geeks. Okay, Geeks installs -f geeks.scm. You can compile the modules. You can install to the Guile site directory. You cannot do that, no, because it's in Geeks. Yes, Trev, I hear you. All right, simple echo bot. We've already got the contents of this inside of a file in the repo, so why put it here again? API reference, sure, that's cool. Run the test suite. All right, well, here's what I'm gonna do. Control CCS. Please run the tests. Where are you? I didn't see it use GNU TLS, did you? I'm gonna tell it not to ask again for Guile commands. Just let it run Guile however it wants. This is gonna tell us real fast if it's got syntax errors. Guile can't find the modules. Hold on a second. Guile load path dot. Well, that's not the only problem you have. You need to run it with Geeks. So you should run any command through Geeks shell. I'm gonna tell it only that, and let's see what it does. Dash F Geeks, that's not right either, because you need to use dash D. Use dash D too. Because you want only the dependencies to be installed, the development dependencies to be installed. Before you start doing that. Okay, yeah, it forgot to use Geeks G expression in the package file. I've seen it do that before. I've still got it on accept edits mode. I'll let it do that for now just because it's going to try to fix its syntax errors. So basically what it's going to do is going to cycle through. It's going to keep trying to run the code, and then it's going to try to fix it whenever it hits a problem. But it's going to start doing stupid things to fix it. Now that was a correct fix. Added the star because it was defining functions with optional parameters or key parameters. So you need to have the star on there. So it figured that out. That's good. Did it even use? In core, it used GNU TLS. I don't see it doing any kind of certificate stuff in here. Interesting. Okay. Well, this thing may not work in the last 8 minutes of the stream, but it doesn't really matter. The point was to see it actually do something and see how we could interact with it with Emacs. I'm going to stop it where it is. So I'll also turn off the accept edits mode. Let's see what this Monet thing is all about. So we saw that, okay, sure, you can interact with Claude a little bit more conveniently through commands, through key bindings in Emacs, but it still depends heavily on the eat session. So it's not perfect, in my opinion. Well, it's not bad either. What is this Monet thing? It implements the claude-code IDE protocol, enabling Claude to interact with your Emacs environment through a WebSocket connection. So let's see what this does. Oh, okay, selection context. Current selection in Emacs is automatically shared with Claude code. Does it connect? How does it connect? Require Monet. Monet mode. Control CM. No. Monet mode. Is this why I wasn't getting diffs? Control C, M. Control H. This may be why I wasn't getting diffs. Please continue. Come on. I want to see you make a change. Nope, still the same experience here. To have Claude automatically connect to your Monet session, set enable IDE equals true. What? I don't think that's a typo. Let's see. There's a command in Claude. Make sure your IDE has Claude Code extension or plugin installed and is running. Monet server Start server. Oh, there it is. Emacs. Auto connect to IDE. Yes. All right. So it's connected to Emacs. There's a little dot here that I've never seen before now. So maybe that means something. Please continue. Maybe that will do the diff. Here we are. Now it popped up the actual diff of the change in a buffer. So instead of responding in the console, and it tells me to open changes in Emacs, so it doesn't put all that stuff in the output, which is great because now it doesn't spam the whole screen. So I can say Control-CC1 to accept the change. Let me close this. Maybe the next time it has a diff, it'll do that too. Multiple ellipsis patterns in match. Okay, it wrote the match expression wrong. All right. I would say this is a better experience than trying to scroll through the console. So it's definitely better from that perspective. It's changing its approach. It's using a nested match. I don't know. I don't really care right now. Control-CC1, whatever. So long as it works. That's cool. We saw the diffs. Maybe when it creates new files, it would do that too. Start server, stop all servers using the diff tool. Oh, you can press Y or Q to even accept the changes. That's cool. And it told me down here, type Y in the buffer. That's better. I would say that's a better experience for using Claude inside of Emacs. Whenever it's actually trying to make changes, yeah, you can look at the whole thing without having to scroll through a terrible terminal experience. Base 64 encoding and decoding. Why are you writing your own? What happened? Why? Base 64 is part of a different module. Okay, you don't know where it is? Yeah, once again, it starts doing weird stuff. All right, what else? There's also an ediff version where you can edit the proposed commit and then accept your changes. I haven't tried that one yet, obviously, but I think we don't have time because we have to end the stream in a second. Session management, Monet automatically creates session keys based on context, uses a project name, so it creates multiple sessions. Let's see, buffer name. Most MCP tools that Claude uses to interact with Emacs are now customizable. You can replace the default implementation with your own functions. What does that mean? Customizable tool. Oh, okay. So, open files in the editor, save documents to disk. Custom diff tool. All right. So basically, you can customize how Emacs responds to these tool calls into from Claude into Emacs. Creates a WebSocket connection, real-time diagnostics, side-by-side diffs, tracks your position. All right. Well, hopefully that demonstration shows you kind of the progression of using Claude Code in an actual terminal emulator outside of Emacs to using it inside of a terminal emulator in Emacs and seeing how it's a little bit sluggish and janky and you kind of have to scroll around and hit keys in certain places. And then having a legitimate integration of it in Emacs where you have key bindings that you can use to accept things, manage sessions, etc. And also have it show you diffs in the editor instead of printing them out in the terminal, which I think is a lot better. But I guess at that point, it's less of a terminal-driven tool and more of a tool that plugs into your IDE, which I guess is fine. I mean, you kind of need to have some of these workflow improvements to make it feel less difficult to use. And I've used it quite a lot over the last few weeks, and it does get pretty flaky. So I think that it will help me whenever I use it. Maybe it'll help you too. So if you try these out and you learn any neat tricks, please leave a note in the comments or go post it to the System Crafters forum, forum.systemcrafters.net, or come to the IRC and let us know. Also, if you have other suggestions for AI tools for Emacs, let me know. I'm probably not going to do a whole lot of AI-driven streams because probably people won't like that too much. But I have been using Claude Code, and I thought it would be interesting to talk about it at least. So there you go. You saw it in practice, and you saw how it writes code, and it does some pretty dumb things sometimes, and I got to show you that as well. So don't trust everything that the AI does. Just, use your judgment as a skilled programmer and review what it does and call it out on its BS. And then maybe you'll end up with some decent code in the end. Zayman says, thanks. Thank you. And Benoit says, pretty fun to watch a stream today. Robin says, MetaX doctor. We should let Claude talk to the doctor. Maybe that would be a pretty interesting stream to do. All right, folks. Thank you all for being here today. I hope you all have a great weekend. Thanks for your time and attention. Until next time, happy hacking. See ya.